Darren Robison, handicapper 3, just moved to Marlborough Golf Club. I've never been fitted for a driver. I've normally bought drivers on a whim, really. You know, snatched someone else's driver on the first tee, had a quick swing and think that's got to go in my bag. Went and spent a lot of money and not really had any noticeable improvement in the results. So I'm pretty consistent with, you know, what I'm capable of doing. So I know it's a stiffish shaft, you know, standard loft. I've never really played around with it. I hit it very low, or launch it very low with quite a lot of spin. And it kind of doesn't go anywhere, especially if there's a puff of wind. It doesn't go anywhere. It was pretty consistent, so I knew where it was going. But you know, to up my yardage would be a big advantage, as it is to anyone's.
Darren hits the ball quite well. He's got plenty of speed. He's 100 miles an hour swing speed. With his own driver, he was using a driver that was 45.5 inches long. He had a tendency to hit it in the neck of the club, a little bit low out of the face. As a result, he got quite a low launch angle and quite high spin rate, which would cost him a little bit of distance. He was carrying the ball about 220, which I felt was a little bit short for the amount of speed that he created. So we've looked at different options in terms of shaft. We focused on the D2 head because he has a tendency to cut the ball, so we're trying to keep that ball flight as neutral as we can. We found a really good shaft option for him that helped him to launch the ball a little bit more positively. And then we've tweaked some of the different settings on the head to help to keep that club face neutral. In doing that, we've increased his launch angle, we've reduced the backspin level, and as a result he's picked up about 20 yards in total distance. We hit 4 different shaft options, and basically the Graphite Design YSQ shaft that we settled with has a relatively low kick point. It's active in the tip, so it helps him to release the club a little bit better and to launch the ball more positively. With the head makeup, we went in D2, 8.5 degrees, but put it into the A3 setting. So it's actually got 10 degrees of loft on it. The benefit of the A3 setting for Darren was that it helped to close the face angle 1.5 degrees. So while it didn't eliminate his fade, it reduced the amount of left to right and kept his ball flight much more neutral, and that's where we got that increase in yardage.
I haven't been with Titleist since the old 975, so it's quite a while, but you know, they're fantastic looking clubs. You know, always kind of aimed at the better player, but I never thought I'd fit into that sort of scope. But you know, they look playable straight away as well. You know, they look loft on the face when you're looking down, and really instill confidence, I thought. I hit a cut all the time anyway, so the D3, I think it was, is the head that's open. So we didn't even bother going there to sort of challenge the people who are driving past on the road. Went in with a fairly standard stiff shaft. I think it was a YS6, but it was a heavier shaft that I'm used to try and get the spin rate down. But the launch was still low, so we ended up fiddling around with a few shafts in that head. But even though the distance was up straight away, dispersion was good, but the spin rate was still quite high and the launch was still low. So ended up fitting a lower lofted head, but increased the loft with the shaft adjustment, which immediately got the numbers up, and also got my ball seeing the left hand side of the golf course, which I've never seen at all before. You know, you could see the ball when you looked up, it was in a different launch window. You know, you could actually physically see the difference without even coming to the computer and seeing the numbers. But it felt as though it jumped off the club face really, and the numbers bore that out as well.